Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Metroid Other M. In the last part, we fought the mysterious lizard at the end of the biosphere test facility, and now it's broken into Sector 3. I'm looking for where Lyle's body is right now. It's slightly to my right. I should note, by the way, Lyle's not going to get into the line in the game, obviously. But he was voiced by someone who only really voiced one other notable character. He voiced the quote-unquote villain of the second Professor Layton game, whose name escapes me at the moment, but he was the vampire-looking dude.
It was clear that the Galactic Federation was developing bioweapons on the bottle ship. I wonder if Adam came here knowing that. Regardless, I knew I had to talk to the person in charge, Madeline Bergman. Of course, she would have to be alive in order for me to do that.
Samus, start by searching areas you can access with your current equipment. We'll determine weapon and equipment authorization after we get a better understanding of the situation.
By and large, every voice actor in the game only is really known for voicing this character in this game. I think most of them are actors outside of VA, so that's not so surprising. The only one who's done a lot of other stuff is one particular character we haven't met yet, voiced like 5 characters in Dota 2. Welcome to the Pyrosphere! Probably the most infamous part of the game for reasons we'll get into later on. Also, did you guys see something jump in the background there? That was weird. Oh, hi there! I'm not sure what happens if you fail that sense move. I'm not sure if that's an instant kill or not, because I've never failed that. The sense moves that are, like, very sudden, like at an enemy introduction, I've failed several times in my life. But ones that are very telegraphed like that, you have to kind of almost do it purposely, I feel. Now, the Pyrosphere is infamous because it's easily the most egregious example of the authorization system being bad, just straight up. We'll get into why in a moment, though, because you might notice we are Power Suit Samus. This is a fire area. But the way most Metroid games would handle it is you could enter these areas, but you're not recommended to until you get the Various Suit unless you're super confident in knowing the level design. Well, here we are. We're now taking damage because we're in the lava and we don't have the Various Suit. You can't get the Various Suit before this. Not helping things is Vorash here trying to eat us, and that's just not helping. We gotta make a mad dash and sense move all over the place. I'd almost say the way you should play this section of the game. Oh god, it's not wall jumping off of the thing into more lava. Oh god, my bones are melting. Okay, we're good. Take this section with a grain of salt. Hold a direction, but also every now and then do a tap on the D-pad just to maybe sense move out of the way, because Vorash, while their appearances here are scripted, you'll never know where they're going to be coming on a first playthrough. Just tap it almost on about halfway through every single platform. But yeah, we're taking damage from the heat. This is bad. You'd think maybe after the first room, Adam would say, alright, use the Various Suit. That ain't happening till towards the end of the video, from memory's sake. It is easily the most egregious example of the entire authorization system just being dumb. Because I understand maybe limiting Samus's weapons. Why limit her defensive abilities, like making sure she takes less damage?
Looks like the normal beam won't have any impact on the enemies around here. Samus, use your ice beam.
Ow! I also don't understand why he limited us on the ice beam, because he authorized ice pistols for everyone at the exact same time that we all got sent off in our various missions. So why not just have Samus have that by the start, because that puts her on equal footing with them. I get she's maybe physically more capable, so he figures maybe she doesn't need it, but it's weird. With that said, now we have the Ice Beam. It can freeze certain enemies with a charge shot. It can also take care of certain things that our normal beam couldn't otherwise. I feel a large part of the authorization system could have been solved if maybe Samus was hit by an explosion that disabled some of her powers and they needed to be under self-repair for some reason or another. Sort of like what happens at the start of Metroid Prime 1, but I don't want to say better written, but maybe make it so her suit's notably damaged and you actively see it repair itself throughout the game. At least that would make some amount of sense for the defensive stuff, like, say, you're stuck with a power suit level until you get a certain distance of the way through. That would help you do the story railroading and also allow you to maybe have Adam say, alright, no power bombs, maybe no super missiles until later on. We gotta make sure that we don't accidentally kill people. Authorization system still is a weird writing decision, don't get me wrong. But there's ways they could have made it so much less egregious than it already is from a writing perspective. It is bad. And to an extent, there's the writing issue with Adam that is all over the place with some of the stuff later on in the game. I feel even with them parting on negative terms that we haven't quite gone into yet. By the way, you can freeze this particular pipe. I don't know how you're supposed to figure that out until you actually just try it. Ow! I also feel Adam should maybe have some trust in the fact she wouldn't just shoot someone randomly. The power bomb is probably the only thing that he absolutely should just go, yeah, no, you shouldn't have that yet. With that said, this is concentration mode. Whenever you get hit down to 0, it's not an instant kill. They do give you one last moment to use concentration to restore a full energy tank. And that gets better throughout the game, too, because there is an item that makes that ability actively better, but we don't see one of those at first until, like, over halfway through the game, I think. They could have paced out some items a bit better in that regard, I feel, in the game as well. You do need to kill every enemy here, by the way. There's a reason I'm actually stopping here, because this door does not unlock until you kill them all. Kind of wish they had a way to tell that the rooms needed every enemy to be killed earlier on. At least a way that's not just, hey, the door's locked still. Because, like, Devil May Cry 1 does that pretty well, I feel. In fact, Devil May Cry Period does, where just mysterious plot walls show up. Like, the demon hand that I immediately think of in Devil May Cry 1. Having something like that, where, like, maybe say if the monsters we were fighting were like spiders of some sort, if they webbed up the wall and we couldn't take care of it until they got killed, that would make sense. It'd be very gamey, but games need to be gamey, otherwise then you get some weirdly written stuff that just doesn't make sense with the gameplay mechanics. Now you can fall all the way down this passageway, but you don't want to do that because while you can land down there, there's nothing down there you can do yet. In fact, when you go all the way down there, you start taking heat damage because you're close to some lava. I feel if Pyrosphere was designed in that you went through the first room and then you're like, alright, we need to avoid these types of rooms from now on, and there was maybe some secret passageways you could figure out, it would be a lot more Metroid-like. This area is probably one of the most egregious examples of this game being very much a straightforward pathway with combat encounters, more so than a Metroid game. And it's an okay linear action game, but its writing is still bad. I do like these enemies, though. I've always found these lava men goofy. They have a name. Every enemy in the game has a name, officially. Though, to find most of them, you have to look in the concept art you get after you beat the game, or, in my case, the Metroid wiki. But, at least they have names. Which, admittedly, some companies have been consistent about that from the start, because, like, Mega Man as a franchise, almost every enemy in every game has an official name. Almost. I'd say it's maybe 85% of them do. And I just find that oddly endearing. Because even if it's just an internal, alright, well, let's have this random fish robot. Let's give it a name so we at least know what we're talking about, so we know exactly which fish robot we're talking about. And that's our 4th energy part, so we got a 3rd energy tank from that. With that said, as you noticed, while our HP did increase from that, getting an energy part that restores to an energy tank doesn't restore your HP fully like getting an energy tank itself does. Which is weird, but oh well. Honestly, I feel combat encounters like this with like the bugs would have made better if you had more combat potential. Again, just having the gun and the charge shot very feels limiting. Next new mini-boss type, this is the Asborian, but we want to ignore it because there's a missile tank under here. This is potentially one of the harder combat encounters. In fact, that fade transition there was because I did die to this guy. He's going to have a lot of long-reaching physical attacks, and he can surf around on the floor like he's almost like a Roomba. The big thing is when he's doing that, he'll spawn little baby Asborians that can be taken out in a charge shot, but their entire goal is to try and grab onto you and self-destruct. In fact, the boss himself can do that. What you want to do in this fight is whenever he shoots their head out at that attack that they just did there, you want to charge shot them. At that point, they'll be available for a lethal strike. And then you can take care of the armor. But the fight isn't over when you do just that, because that only takes care of the Asborian's armor. The Asborian itself is the worm little thing that's poking out, and at that point, it'll try to leap onto you for a single self-destruction attack. They'll do some mass damage to you. In fact, that's what killed me in this combat encounter the first time through. Charge shot there, run in, and the fight's more or less done. This is one of my favorite enemy designs from the game, honestly. The fight's a little annoying, but the design's cool. Before we head up through that door, though, we want to come in here because this allows us to get another missile tank. And I believe you see that one in the previous room in terms of it bleeping on the radar, but you have to go through there to get it. This walk up to this volcano always stuck out to me. It's just a cool scene. With that said, you want to be careful because like Death Mountain Crater in Ocarina of Time and some other Zelda games, there's meteorites raining above. Thankfully, their impact location is marked on the floor by red, and you can just sense move out of the way of them. Use this save room. Not only, well, actually, you need to use the save room. I am partially conflicted on the forced use nature of every save room. I do wish you could say avoid them to either avoid the map, or if you don't need the health recharge, do that. And you can do that when you return to certain areas, but every save room you come to at first, you're locked into. Oh, hi, Zabesians. I do like how the game has a lot of enemies, like I brought up before. I think what the game needed to do more often, though, is interplay its enemies better. Because usually whenever you fight a group of enemies like these Zabesians, you're just fighting them. There's not many occasions in the game where, say, here's two Zabesians, an Asborian, and... what was the name of the armadillo things? The Griptians, I think, was what it was. I've already forgotten. Something like that, where the enemies have different fighting tactics, and you have to interplay and maybe prioritize certain ones, could have led to more interesting combat encounters, and the game does feel worse for it. There's a reason I say this is an okay action game, not a great action game. You want to head through the passageway on the right there, though, because that's how we get this particular energy part. If you head through the hole on the left side of the room, you just end up progressing the plot, and you're not going to be able to get that particular energy part until I think at least after this next section, if not until a little bit further into the future. Because I forget... Oh, no, that morph ball launcher is available immediately. You can just go back up and get it. Never mind. And now the lava's rising. The lava in this game is disgustingly effective at killing Samus because its damage increases exponentially the longer you're in it. And it slows you down to a crawl. And now we have something attacking us from the lava. Great. The jump there is probably the most touchy because, well, actually this one as well, because Samus does actively jump higher if you hold the jump button, but there's not many times the game makes you have to use that. Usually just tapping the button will get you enough height to, say, grab onto a ledge. That's one of the only times you need to actively hold the button and hold towards a corner as long as you can. With that said, time for a boss fight.
Samus, activate the variant feature on your suit to protect yourself from heat damage.
You couldn't have done that earlier? That would have been a lot more helpful. I mean, yeah, we have enough health, but still, that was Samus in active danger there, Adam. Come on, man. This thing might look goofy, but the Goyagma here is one of my favorite boss fights in the game. the main thing we need to do at the start is just do charge shots at the obvious glowing weak point, while it does various hand, slam, and swipe attacks. After about 2 volleys of hitting it with 3 or 4 charge shots using a missile, the fight does change up a bit. This fight, admittedly, to an extent, always reminded me of the first major boss fight from Star Fox Adventures, because I grew up playing that game a lot. And it's mostly because of the obvious glowing weak points in the throat. Alright, now that we've done that twice, I believe is when the fight changes up. Yeah, now its arms are on fire, and it's going to do bigger slam attacks. At every slam, fire erupts beneath you, so you need to sense move out of the way. After enough slams, though, it'll do a major slam, and its hand will stay there for a second. Charge shot it, and then jump on the hand for your major overblasts for the fight. You can just, I believe, missile the hand for damage, but this looks cooler, and it does a lot more damage. 3 of those, and the fight will be over. After the first one, though, it does go into lava and swipe its arm out to throw some lava rocks at you, but from there the pattern becomes the same, slamming until you can charge shot again. But now the slams are faster, and I think the fire juts out of the ground faster, too. It's an easy fight. Again, most of the boss fights in this game are very, very easy. But I at least like its scale, and I like the cinematics it has. The boss fights in this game can be cool, just not very difficult. The only one I'd say that can be hard is 2 particular ones that come to mind. The final boss fight and one other one besides it. Something about how that thing blows up reminds me a lot of the boss from Solar and Star Fox 64. In fact, now that I think about it, their designs are very similar. I wonder if that was intentional. With that said, now that the lava has completely receded from the volcano, we can go lower than we could at the start of our escapades here in the Pyrosphere, and we want to do that because it's how we get to our next destination. How the mysterious creature crawled through all this, I do not know. Maybe it found a pathway we didn't see because it can apparently sense doors and walls it can burst through just by looking at it. I don't know, maybe it has heat vision or something. The Pyrosphere, though, is easily my least favorite area in the game just because it's probably the most hallway-like out of all of them, and there's a lot of hallway-likes in this game. They're all like that. But it's definitely where it feels the most obvious. And the various suit thing has bothered me since the start. It's bothered everyone. It's, again, it's the worst part of the authorization system, bar none. With that said, we do find ourselves at the main elevator segment here, but we can't go into it because I guess Adam knows that it didn't go through there, or the game's like, nah, it didn't go there. Keep on going east, man. It's fine. Although I say east. The minimap in the game does rotate whenever you rotate in hallways in the game, and because of that, north is subjective, I feel, in this game, because what is north to the minimap might be west, and I have always found that really weird. It's weird thinking about it, though. I think this might be the game where Zebesians play the most active space pirate threat, so to speak, outside of Super, because this is the earliest they show up barring Super, because they only show up in, like, the end game of Zero Mission. They're not in either version of Metroid 2 at all. I guess they show up very early in all 3 Prime games, but those are a little bit different because those still technically are spin-offs, even though I think they're considered canon again. Sakamoto was weird about those games for a little bit there, from memory. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching as soon as the save point starts. And in Part 8, we're going to continue through Sector 3 and seeing where it takes us from there. See you guys then. I do wish this map moved a little bit faster so I can properly end off. Can you please fade to black? Thank you. See you guys then.